Hello and welcome to another edition of Taekwondo Life Magazine Live. My name is Mark Sorianis. I'm your host. I'm a third Dan black belt and I'm the editor-in-chief of Taekwondo Life Magazine. We are a member of the BLEAV Sports Network. BLEAV is the #1 sports and podcast network for professionals. Do you believe? I'm wearing my Kukkiwon sweatshirt. Here's my Kukkiwon patch. Very proud of the House of Discipline, Kukkiwon. We just wanted to talk a little bit. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our new issue, the new issue of Taekwondo Life Magazine, appearing on newsstands in print and digital everywhere that magazines are sold now. Here is the cover featuring this gentleman, the very esteemed Grandmaster Yong Chin Pak. He is the former head for many years of the NCTA and a college professor and a beloved member of the Taekwondo community. Also on the cover, we'll talk a little bit when we look inside. Kukkiwon elects a new president. Historic day for the Kukkiwon, the election of their new president. We feature a little bit about the new president and what his plans are. And this man, our exclusive interview with the newest member of the PFL, that's the Professional Fighters League Army, the Korean Falcon, Jo Sung-bin. We have our interview here in English and Korean for our international audience. Our Taekwondo Life magazine is found in 176 countries now, of which #1 is the United States, #2 is South Korea, #3 is Britain, #4 is Canada, and #5, thanks to our friend Master Mansour Del Rosario, #5 is the Philippines. But we have our interview with Jo Sung-bin in English and Korean, a historic first interview that we've had that is in multiple languages. So this magazine, as you know, we are one of the few in the space of print still available, but we will continue to be in print as long as we are able to sustain that, and thanks to the generosity of our sponsors and the generosity of our readers, we are continuing to be in print as long as we can. We think it bears a certain level of credibility. And speaking of our sponsors that help make that possible, we have eBay, and I wanted to take a moment to talk about eBay, our newest sponsor. And whether it's rare dead stock or the latest release, find the exact shoe you're looking for. As the original sneaker marketplace, eBay is the place to go to cop the pair that you've been eyeing. With eBay's authenticity guarantee, your sneakers are meticulously inspected by independent professional authenticators. A team of experienced sneaker authenticators verify the box, the logo, the stitching, and dozens of inspection points. Each sneaker also receives an authenticity guarantee tag that includes a digital stamp of authenticity, and it also protects the seller with a verified return process. For you sneaker sellers out there, eBay has eliminated selling fees on all sneakers of $100 or more, making it free to sell or flip your entire collection. I want you to go to ebay.com/sneakers today. That's ebay.com/sneakers. And eBay is the world's best destination for discovering great value and unique selection. So thank you to them. So looking at the magazine, and I'll just take a quick flip through. As I said to you, as I hinted, we have a look at the Kukkiwon's new president, Dong Sup Lee. And in January, in his election, we talk about that. As always, comment sections are news from the World Taekwondo, and then we always have news from USAT. We try to cover many of the different organizations in standing columns. It's sort of our format. USA Taekwondo overhauls referee leadership structure. So we talk a little bit about the election of John Sieber to the new Taekwondo referee leadership and what his plans are and who is involved in that referee advisory council. As those of you that follow our YouTube channel know, we cover exclusively. We have many interviews. We just interviewed President Thomas Bach for our Tokyo 2020, which will become our continued IOC Olympic Taekwondo column. But we talk here about the Tokyo 2020 being the first gender-balanced games in Olympic history, something that the IOC has been working on. This games will be the first that there will be equivalent male and female athletes. We do a 2-page review and a look at the rebirth of Kung Fu. This was and part of our series. We did a YouTube video on this. We did a podcast episode last week. I had an opportunity to screen the upcoming show, which will be released on the CW on April 7th, of the new reboot of the David Carradine show, which we talked about Kung Fu, featuring Olivia Liang in the key role, Sima, Shannon Dang, and a whole cast, Eddie Liu, a whole cast set in modern-day San Francisco about a young woman who goes to Chinese Shaolin temple to find herself, learns the skills of Kung Fu, and then goes in pursuit of her master's killer. A familiar story, a familiar format, a new show, and we talked a lot about the salient features of that show in our... Now, this is something that wasn't, I think, in our review, or maybe we did talk a little bit about it, The Legend of Kung Fu. We trace the storyline from Bruce Lee's concept to David Carradine's show of the 70s, Cinemax show of the last 2 years, Shannon Lee's Warrior, and the new reboot of Kung Fu. And we talk a little bit about what is the connection between all of those things. And of course, it's Bruce Lee and the Legend of Kung Fu. It all goes back to this icon, the man who made it all happen. And yesterday actually was the 28th, I can't believe it, the 28th anniversary of the passing of Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee. I can't believe he is gone for 28 years, an up-and-coming rising star at the time, and did everything to fuel the speculation that there was either a family curse or that Bruce Lee had in fact been murdered, and that those forces were so set on ruining the lives of the Lee family that they somehow managed to kill not only Bruce Lee, but his son, Brandon. We get into our cover story, Grandmaster Yong Chin Pak, who also happens to be an author. This is his textbook, working with students. He's a Grandmaster of Hapkido, of Judo, just a truly innovative gentleman and Taekwondo, of course, Iowa State University. We conducted an interview with him. We have, as always, our cover stories, multi-page layout that takes a good part of the magazine, and you could read all about him. We have, since we announced that he was going to be on the cover, we've just had an onslaught of students who wrote in about how beloved he was, and were so anxious to get their hands on a copy of the magazine to be able to celebrate his life and legacy and his career up until now. We always have featured our state Dojang directory, and anybody who's interested in being featured in that, you can get in touch with us. Our newest contributor, Todd Jonas, submitted his article, "The World is My Dojang." Very interesting perspective about training sort of anywhere and how you can get benefit. You don't have to necessarily, if you're in a remote area, particularly during coronavirus. We learned that, just because you're not able to train live doesn't mean you need to stop training. Our interview with the Korean Falcon, Jo Sung-min, and as I indicated, some great photographs. I really, really love the photographs in this layout. Our interview is both in English and in Korean. It was translated by Dae-ho Kang, who is a Korean-based Olympics sports reporter. He's one of our correspondents in Korea, and he provided the direct interview for us. I had written the questions, and he provided the translations. And Jo Sung-bin will have his debut on April 23rd as the PFL rolls out its season for 2021. They were on hold for 2020, like much of the world. They had very successful 2018 and 19. 2020 geared up to be really, really an exciting year for PFL. But as a result of the pandemic, they decided to cancel the season. understandable. And now we're back in 2020. They're going to have this season in the bubble in Atlantic City. We'll see what happens with the finals and the playoffs, but at least for the regular season will be in the bubble, and it will start April 23rd. Esteemed Grandmaster Doug Cook, who's become a regular contributor to our magazine, he submitted an article, A Lifeboat of Troubled Seas. He is an extremely thoughtful person. He's an extremely good writer. He's an extremely dedicated and passionate martial artist, and I think you will find that his articles are always really, really good. And we have More Than Miyagi, a movie and a movie review that we did, which really was very popular, based on a documentary that we had the opportunity to screen by Kevin Derrick. A look at the life of Pat Morita, the man known to most of us as Mr. Miyagi, of the Mr. Miyagi fame from the Karate Kid series. New resurgence of interest in the Karate Kid through the Cobra Kai. I had written in my article about Is Cobra Kai Worth Watching that I was really reluctant to watch it, thinking it would be impossible to create a Karate Kid universe without Pat Morita. They did a great job, though, of bringing that film in the spirit of Pat Morita. But this film looks at his complexity, looks at his struggles, looks a little bit at the history, which is very, very appropriate for what's going on now. The difficulties of being a Japanese American in film and entertainment and in post-World War II United States. Looks at his iconic role, the Karate Kid, just an all-around good film. And I know that film, since we wrote our review and since it was released, we hadn't had the chance to write yet, that it's won so many awards, documentary awards, and I know it shot up the charts on iTunes. So great one from the documentary filmmakers, and one I think you should check out. Our back cover is, as always, I give a shout out to Dynamic Martial Arts of 245-14 Jericho Turnpike. This time they're featuring their Adidas Sports backpack, and you can go to their website, dynamicsworld.com. They have terrific martial arts stuff, and they do understand the Taekwondo practitioner, particularly for people in the Taekwondo world. Sometimes when you go to larger martial arts or supplies or sports sites, you might see that they're focused on MMA or they're focused on other things. Dynamics actually is very, very well geared. You can find other stuff there as well, very geared towards the Taekwondo world, whether it be dobox, whether it be weapons, whether it be any kind of training materials, heavy bags, things of that nature. So that's our look at the April-May 2021 issue. You can find out all of this stuff on our website, www.tkdlifemagazine.com. You can go to our current and back subscriptions issue. You could order this issue. You can order any of our prior issues that aren't sold out. We have been doing this quarterly since 2016. We will hopefully continue to do this, even during the pandemic when we had difficulty speaking to people and doing a good cover story. We did an entire issue dedicated to the year of the coronavirus and how the Taekwondo community was coping with it. So I thank you. As always, I look forward to seeing you in the Dojang and on the mat. And also, if you have any ideas for a cover story, if there's someone you think that would be great for us to feature, we would love to hear from you and hear about that. The other part of it is, in light of the relationship of Grandmaster Pak with the NCTA, the National Collegiate Taekwondo Association, a former guest on our show, Grandmaster Sung C. Kim, who was the youngest Grandmaster in the United States, who's also very involved in the NCTA, and my own involvement as an NCTA referee. I believe we're going to be introducing a regular, if not every issue, several times a year, an NCTA column. So look for that. That's a sort of an outshoot of Grandmaster Pak and talking to him and getting some ideas about things that might help to improve the magazine and improve people's enjoyment of it. So this is Mark Sorianis for Taekwondo Life magazine, a member of the BLEAV Sports Network, signing off. Thank you.